back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hi. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. Sorry, I'm still stuffy, but it's like a million times better. I just sound super nasally from the cold and sorry. I have tea, which I put in this Batman v Superman mug that I don't remember even like buying. I'm pretty sure I got this mug in a Justice League unboxing I did for DC Comics on their YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure, because I do not remember exchanging money to have this in my home. So I think that's where this is from. But yay for tea! If you haven't noticed, Todd Phillips' film Joker, which stars Joaquin Phoenix, is taking the internet by storm. People are saying whether they love it or they hate it. There's controversy about having more security at screenings, and some theaters have even canceled showing Joker because they got credible threats. But what I find most interesting of all of these things are people who are still trying to make sense of the actual insanity that we saw in the film. After I saw the movie, I started reading reviews, and then I came across tons and tons and tons of other people's theories about what Joker actually is, what happened in the film, what's real, what's fake, all of these things. I mean, the rabbit hole that you could go down to read all of these theories would make the white rabbit jealous as F, because there is just so much out there. I even have my own theory about the movie after I saw it on Thursday that steers away from the basic concept of what we're seeing on the screen is all happening. And I've read other fans' theories about this movie and how they interpret it that I find to be really solid possibilities. So for this video, I am highlighting 5 of my favorite Joker movie theories that are about the ending and the overall film, and why actually all of these theories, whether they're true or not, are fitting when talking about this very popular Batman villain. But before we get our Shane Dawson on with all of these conspiracy theories, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become a part of this wonderful Gothamite community. There are 2 things that I want to say before we jump into the theories. Obviously, this video will have tons and tons of spoilers because it's hard to talk about these theories if you can't really talk about what happened in the movie. So if you are still waiting to go see it, if you don't want a video that has spoilers and you want to be surprised, then click off this video and come back to it after you've seen the movie. And 2, if you do want to hear my thoughts about what we saw in the film and review that, I did an entire review about the movie. I'll put it in the description. It's the last video that I did on this channel. And there, of course, I talk about basically everything we see. It doesn't have any theories behind it. It is what you see is what you get. So like I said, if you're interested in those thoughts, check it out. But I do love a good theory, so I really would just like to get started. Our first theory is that everything that happened in the movie was all imagined in Arthur Fleck's cell in Arkham Hospital. This is what I thought after seeing the movie. And then after reading reviews and other people's theories, a lot of people have the same thought, so I didn't feel bad or feel like this is way off because many people believe this too. This is probably the one I think the most would fit within this narrative. And of course, the biggest tell that you can see that would make this theory work is seen in the beginning of the film and the ending of the film. There's a scene where the social worker, Miss Kane, is talking to Arthur Fleck. She asks him if he remembers why he was admitted to the hospital in the first place. And then it flashes for literally 2 to 3 seconds. This padded white, really white, bright cell with Arthur Fleck in white clothing, looking like a white straitjacket, and he's banging his head on the door. And then it goes back to Miss Kane and Arthur in the present, or whatever time we're looking at. And as you can see, one is super white and pretty and clean and pristine, and the other one, Miss Kane's office, that we know, is dark and dingy, and there's files everywhere, and it just is not the same place as it was. So that's already suspicious, because where else in Gotham City is Arthur going to be in a padded cell other than Arkham Hospital? And then going to the ending of the film where Arthur Fleck is sitting once again in a all white, very bright, pristine cell. He's sitting at a table across from another social worker who kind of looks like Miss Kane from the whatever reality we are looking at. And Arthur is in all white, and it fits the exact same 3-second flash that we saw in the beginning. Of course, the ending shows that after everything that happened in the film and everything that he's done, he was placed in Arkham Asylum, which would make sense. Now, even though the 3 seconds in the beginning is a super small detail, the theory, of course, is that the entire film was all within Arthur Fleck's imagination, which means he didn't actually kill those 3 men on the subway. He didn't actually go on the Murray Franklin show and assassinate the late night TV host. The following acts from this assassination, which are the clown movement and all the riots and the looting and the fire and all of that happened in Gotham after the airing of him killing this man, didn't happen. And you can even say the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne coming home from seeing Zorro or Excalibur or whichever film they were seeing probably didn't happen either, since everything trickled off of Arthur Fleck's appearance on that TV show that night. Now, as I said in my review of the film that I did a couple of days ago, Arthur Fleck's actions throughout the movie are all tied with him trying to make a name for himself within this world and give validation to his pretty devastating existence and mentally troubled self. Basically, he wants to matter, even if that is at the cost of other people's lives. So what better place to assure that he is someone people will notice and recognize than in his own mind? Besides, Arthur as a reliable narrator was thrown out the window halfway through the movie. We learned that he imagined his entire relationship with Zazie Beetz, who was Sophie in the film, because she had no idea who he was when he was sitting in her apartment, which would freak anybody out. By the way, I really don't think that he killed Sophie or her daughter because he actually cared about her, even if they weren't really friends. I mean, he made this whole relationship up in his head, how they go on a date and they're romantic and everything. So it's kind of the same thing with the midget later in the film when he's like, you were always really nice to me, so I'm not going to kill you. I think it's the same thing. I think Arthur just left. So that's what I think. Maybe you think he just killed everybody because that's just what he does. I don't know. Going further into theories or even thinking about the movie, you should remember that Arthur Fleck is not a reliable narrator or person who is telling us a story. Throughout, you can see really, really blurred lines between reality and fiction. And sometimes you can't even tell what's real and what's not, which is why all of these like 100 theories exist online right now. Just keep the whole unreliable narrator thing in mind as we keep going. Our next theory is that Arthur Fleck isn't actually the Joker. Now, from watching and reading his promotional interviews, director Todd Phillips is totally pulling an Alan Moore and literally said that the ending is up to the audience interpretation. And I say Alan Moore because he wrote the 1998 graphic novel Batman the Killing Joke, which this film had as a little bit of its influence when you can see that Arthur Fleck is a failed comedian, same as The Killing Joke, and even Todd Phillips saying it is up to the audience's interpretation. Alan Moore has said that the ending of Batman the Killing Joke and whether or not Batman actually killed Joker, it's up for the audience to decide. He did not say whether or not he did or he didn't. It is up to you guys, which I love that kind of stuff. But in one of Todd Phillips' interviews, he says that maybe Joaquin Phoenix's character actually influenced and inspired the Joker. And then he goes on to talk about the last line that Arthur Fleck has in the movie, and he says, you wouldn't get it. And he says that there's a lot going on there, and he thinks that it's interesting. Now, if you don't know what he's talking about, at the end of the film, kind of like we talked about in our first theory, where Arthur is sitting in a bright white cell, in a white straight jacket or some type of white clothing, and he's sitting across from another social worker. As he's sitting there, he's thinking actually about Bruce Wayne standing in Crime Alley, a dark alley, wherever, where his parents have just been gunned down. And what I hate is that in this scene you could see the super rats like behind him, going like behind him, because the city is gross and that's just where we are. We have rats the size of dogs, and I swear that's just the worst thing ever, but anyway. And he actually starts laughing, but it's not his involuntary, I can't control it, I'm trying to fit into society, weird cackling laugh. It's a genuine chuckle. It sounds like him. And even Todd Phillips in one of the interviews said that was the only time in the entire movie that the character laughed genuinely. And the only time that he did that was thinking about Thomas Wayne dead and Bruce Wayne being left alone in the world after his parents were gunned down by someone in the clown posse. That brought him joy, because of course it did. But when he laughs, that's when the social worker asks, "What's so funny?" And then he responds, "You wouldn't get it." And then of course the ending goes to him going down the hallway, leaving bloody footprints, but it's all within the white glow. So from this and what Phillips has said about Fleck inspiring the real Joker, this theory is that Arthur Fleck actually did do all of the things that you see in the movie. It isn't his imagination. He literally was killing people and went on the show and did everything, and he is the result of the riots and the violent clown movement that happened in Gotham after his appearance on the Murray Franklin show. His insane but passionate speech that he did on the show and everything that he's done was obviously the catalyst for not only everyone rioting and setting stuff on fire, but for that person to go find Thomas and Martha Wayne coming from the movie theater, going up to Thomas and saying, basically, "This is what you deserve," and shooting him, because he was inspired by what Arthur Fleck, aka Joker, talked about Thomas Wayne and how bad of a person he is and how bad the rich people in society and all those things. He was influenced by what Joker said. So maybe that guy that shot Thomas and Martha Wayne is actually going to be the real Joker within Gotham City. I don't mind that theory either. Of course, it's cool to just have one person that's Joker, but if there is one other person, or maybe it's going to be a series of Jokers, like one person is going to do this, and then they kind of disappear. Then another person who is influenced and inspired by this madman is going to take up the Joker name. Who knows? But I think that is totally possible. Maybe even, if it's kind of dark, but I'm just adding to this theory that I didn't really see, maybe the Joker that Batman is going to fight in the future, maybe he's the same age as Bruce. We don't know him, but maybe he'll grow up watching everything that's happening in Gotham and how it's crap, and maybe he is mentally unstable, or maybe he'll be a gangster that Batman goes and has to fight, and maybe he'll fall into the vat of chemicals. You don't know. It could be a child out there that sees everything and grows up with seeing everything and decides, I want to be what all of these people in the past have been. I'm fine with this theory. I think it is totally plausible. Alright, our next theory is that Arthur Fleck is actually Thomas Wayne's son. The biggest plot point that actually ties Arthur Fleck and Thomas and Bruce Wayne together within this cinematic universe is that Arthur's mother, Penny Fleck, has said that her and Thomas Wayne had a romantic affair while she was working for the Waynes 30 years ago, and that Arthur is actually Thomas Wayne's son, which would make Arthur and Bruce half-brothers. Once Arthur discovers this, he goes to Wayne Manor, he talks to Bruce, he has a really weird altercation with Alfred, who is like, what are you doing? Why are you talking to this boy? And then Alfred tells him that not only is Arthur not Thomas's son, but his mother, Penny, was so mentally unstable that she had to go into Arkham Asylum because she was harassing the Wayne family when she worked for them. And so, of course, Arthur's like, you're lying. There's no way that, you know, he believes his mom over Pennyworth, which I get, it's fine. But then when Arthur goes to Arkham Hospital and gets the files on his mother, Penny, not only does he see that she was put into Arkham Hospital because she was mentally unstable, but also the fact that Arthur was actually adopted and he suffered major trauma and actual abuse under his mother. And of course, this just pushes Arthur into a deeper descent into all the debauchery and sin that he's gonna commit within this movie. While that story that Thomas and Alfred and all the papers and things say, checks out, it's fine. Thomas saying that he did not have a relationship with Penny seems false. Now, whether or not this is actually a thing in the movie, I'm gonna say it's real. When Arthur is looking at a picture of Penny, his mother, and she's young and beautiful, on the back of the photo, I believe it says something to the effect of, "I love your smile," and then it's signed TW, which is Thomas Wayne. That just kind of shows that maybe there was something going on between Thomas and Penny, because you don't just write that on pictures to the people that work for you. You just don't, or you shouldn't, you know. From knowing this information and thinking maybe Thomas was just lying because he's a bad person. Thomas Wayne in this film is not a good person. It is not the same as the other interpretations. He's actually a shady socialite politician. He really is. So this theory makes sense to me just because of the person that we know Thomas Wayne to be within this universe. And that is, once Thomas, after having an affair with Penny, finds out that she's pregnant, not only does he kind of push her to the side and say, "Oh, no, I can't deal with that," because he can't deal with that. He used his wealth and power to forge the adoption papers that Arthur saw in his mother's file and just threw Penny in Arkham Asylum to silence her about their relationship. So Thomas has absolutely no ties to either Penny or Arthur. I can totally believe that, because that sounds like something a shady politician who's trying to silence the scandals and put them away that he doesn't want the public to know and just kind of make it go away, and he uses his money to make it go away. That totally sounds like something that is plausible even in the real world. But of course, these actions all have consequences, right? Her being thrown in Arkham probably would have made her mentally unstable. And of course, this affected Arthur's world, growing up with his mother and anyone else in his life and going through abuse, which all led to him in his adulthood committing murders and crimes and becoming the Joker, which of course influenced the Gotham City riots and the violent movement by the Clown Posse and everyone that is influenced by this Joker character and by the murders that Arthur has committed, which all leads to that one guy who saw Thomas and Martha leaving the theater and decides to follow him down the alley and shoot both Thomas and Martha, leaving Bruce without his parents. So in the longest game imaginable, you can say that Thomas Wayne's selfish and crude actions towards Penny and Arthur evidently led to him not only being killed, but also leaving Bruce by himself and him becoming the Batman. So really, it's Thomas's fault that Batman exists. Yeah, I like that theory. That sounds fun. That sounds like something that has lots of layers. Even though now, which I think is funny, Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips are like, "Oh yeah, I would like to do a second movie. That'll be fun." Even though you know they're not going to, because why would you need a second movie after this? But if for some reason this series did have more films and we saw Batman grow up, there are so many layers and things that are part of how Bruce lost his family and then became Batman that are tied into Arthur Fleck and Gotham and everything. It's actually a really good Batman origin story. Not just a Joker origin story, but a Batman origin story. I think that that gives more layers than the usual. They came home from the theater and then this random mugger decided, "I'm just gonna kill you randomly because random violence is the way to go." There's actual reasons why it all led to this tragic event. And I think that's kind of cool. Alright, our next theory is that Joker died in the car crash and everything else afterwards is the afterlife. Well, this theory is saying that everything that happened after Arthur Fleck, who was arrested for killing Murray Franklin on the show, it was in the back of a cop car, after they had a car crash with an ambulance that basically T-boned them. Oh, I'm so stuffy, I hate this. I have panels to do this weekend, like, it's fine. But they were T-boned by a paramedic who turned out to be two Clown Posse people. But the impact not only killed the two cops, but it looked like that Arthur Fleck himself was very lifeless. I mean, even when you see that the two clowns come out of the paramedic's car and then they take Arthur out of the cop car through the window, Arthur's body is literally lifeless. Even when they place him on the hood of the car, he's not moving. He's not breathing. He's literally just out cold. And then after that, that's when you go straight to the scene where Thomas and Martha were gunned down by a random clown person. Now, this theory is saying after the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, that's the end of the movie. That's where it stops. And everything else afterwards is literally Arthur Fleck dying and him imagining things and going into an afterlife. Which would make sense because after Thomas and Martha are gunned down, Arthur on the hood of the car kind of wakes up, he coughs, and then he looks around and there are just droves and droves of people cheering his name and are so happy to see them, and he's almost like a savior in their eyes. And then Arthur stands up on the hood of the car and then he's all bloody because he just got messed up by the car crash, and then he makes a smile with the blood on his face, and then he like stands like this and everyone is just cheering and so excited and they're praising him. Which, if you think about it, that's all Arthur ever wanted. Whether through his stand-up comedy or just in life, in his, personal relationships, he just wants to be recognized and applauded for what he has done in the world. And this is the ultimate way. Everyone has his image of a clown on their face, whether painted or a mask or anything, and that's literally everything that Arthur has wanted. That's heaven for him. And then, of course, after this moment, you go into the white cell at Arkham Hospital, and there's such almost a glow within the cell. And then, of course, at the very end, when he leaves the room and he's kind of dancing down the hallway, but he's leaving bloody footprints, which pretty much says that he killed the social worker or just really messed her up, but probably killed her in the room. He's kind of dancing down the hall. Everything around him just glows. It's just a bright, warm light. He's all in white. That gives off hardcore heaven vibes. For Arthur, if you think about it, if he did do everything that we saw in the film, if he killed everybody, if all of these things, I feel like for him, Arkham would be his heaven. And there could be reasons such as no one on the outside would even understand him or what he does or why he does things, which could totally be part of the line, "You wouldn't get it," when she asks what's so funny. And he also ruined Thomas and Bruce Wayne's life. He killed Thomas, and it's gonna have Bruce have tons and tons of trauma for the rest of his life. So literally he did everything he needed to do on the outside world. He made a name for himself, he made a difference, and now he can go into Arkham and just be happy and just be in peace. He's good. I totally see that for someone like Arthur Fleck or Joker, because he is such a twisted individual, that maybe being in Arkham in his mind, that's his heaven. So I like that theory too. I do. I think that it all makes sense to me. Now, our last theory that I find really interesting is that Arthur Fleck, aka Joker, actually grew up in Arkham Asylum. That when he was a child, he already suffered problems, whether it was from his mother or his stepfather, mother's boyfriend, whoever, abuse of him. And maybe he just wasn't well even when he was young, so much so that they put him in Arkham Hospital and he just was unfit to be in the outside world, which means he never really had a life outside. And everything that we saw in the movie is part of his imagination, but it's based off of things that he has seen, even though it's limited because he's in Arkham Hospital, on TV or listened to on the radio or read in a newspaper, which would make sense why Gotham is seen as such a crap hole, because even in the beginning of the film, you hear the radio and it's saying Gotham is in its worst state that it's been in decades, and there's super rats and there's crime and there's just so much that's so bad happening that, of course, in Arthur's mind, if he's envisioning Gotham, that's what we get. We get a really dingy, crummy Gotham City in 1981. That's probably why he really likes the Murray Franklin show, because he comes on nightly and he's super popular, and so anything that he ties to him he's in his imagination because he sees him all the time. And of course, he sees Thomas Wayne on TV because Thomas Wayne was talking on TV. And everything that we kind of know, I think, are based off of things that he saw within Arkham. It just kind of made his own idea of what the world is outside in his head. This and the other theories that I talked about in this video are fantastic. And it's perfect for this Batman villain because with Joker, while the most popular origin story is of course him falling into a vat of chemicals and everything is changed from his hair to his face to having a permanent grin, and it changes the chemicals in him differently, which makes him go insane and he becomes Joker. That is the common origin story. However, even in Alan Moore's The Killing Joke, where this origin was modernized from 1951, Joker even says that he likes to think of his life, his origin, everything as multiple choice. It could be all different kinds of stories, which we've seen not just in this book, but in other Joker stories. There are different origins, there are different things, and Joker is just an unreliable person. How could you honestly believe everything or anything that Joker says? So the fact that there are all these theories in different ways that this movie can be interpreted, and even Todd Phillips, the director, is like, you tell me what you think this movie is. It is perfect for this character. Now, like I said in my review, you don't need the Batman elements to make this movie, to make it a good movie. It's going to be fantastic either way, but I like the fact that there's more than one option as to what we saw in this solo Joker movie, and that's why the internet's fun. Most of the time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about the top 5 theories on Todd Phillips' Joker. If you enjoyed this video, please give a bat thumbs up. I quickly wanted to note that this weekend, it's from Friday to Sunday, is Los Angeles Comic-Con at the LA Convention Center, and I will be there Saturday and Sunday. I am doing a total of 6 panels this year, and I'm so excited for it. I really am. I just wish I felt better, but I'm so geeked for it. Hopefully by Saturday I don't sound like this and I feel 10 times better. I'm really hoping. I'm listing all the panel information in the description below, but I will be having a panel called Joker and Mental Illness, which I am sitting with Dr. Andrea Lenamendi. I kind of mentioned this in my Joker review video, but we're going to be talking about not only this movie, but also the character of the Joker and his mental state and how that comes off within the comics and even in other films and TV shows, and just why we like the character even though he is a little menace to society. I have tons of questions I want to talk to Drea about because she is a brilliant psychologist, and I just want her to break down some things that I have burning questions and concerns about. So that panel is going to be on Saturday at 3 p.m. I also am going to have a panel with creator Jim Starlin, who created the villain Thanos and wrote the Infinity Gauntlet, which is of course the basis for the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, the first stage. That's the guy. And also he wrote Batman Death in the Family and killed off Jason Todd, and he wrote Batman the Cult, and so I'm going to be talking to him. And then I'm doing 4 main stage panels, which are on Saturday and Sunday, and I will be talking to the cast of Steven Universe. I will be talking to both Spongebob and Patrick for a Spongebob Squarepants reunion celebrating the 20th anniversary. I will be talking to Christy Carlson Romano and Will Friedle, which you know Will Friedle. He's Terry McGinnis. He's Batman Beyond. But I will be sitting with them talking about Kim Possible because they are the 2 stars of that Disney show, and I absolutely loved it and watched it. So I'm so geeked that I literally get to talk to them about the show. And I will be talking to some of the cast of the anime My Hero Academia. That show is dope as well. If you can come, please do. There are still tickets. You can still buy it. There's still Saturday and Sunday tickets. There might be a few weekend tickets left, but you can use my code. I'm trying to help y'all save money. You can use History of the Batman, and it looks like this. You have to do it with the caps and everything in order for it to work. And you can save 12% off any of your ticket purchases. So if you are going to buy tickets this week to go this weekend, use my code to save money. Why wouldn't you want to? I hope to see some of you guys there at LA Comic-Con. I always have a blast there, so I'm really excited. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at history of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out my videos for DC Comics DC Fans channel. And of course, please subscribe to this channel so you can be a part of this wonderful Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will have more history of the Batman soon. That isn't all about Joker. I'm sorry. It's just what's on my mind right now. Stay tuned for more history of the Batman right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye.